Hi everyone, this is Marshmallow Taco here, and I want to know that if you are a Final Fantasy XIV player, or you've been thinking about getting into Final Fantasy XIV, I really do think you ought to give it a shot on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. An MMO on the Switch? Really? And honestly, that was one of my first thoughts too. But after actually playing Final Fantasy XIV on the Nintendo Switch 2, I have to say, I'm impressed. The biggest thing for me is the freedom. Final Fantasy XIV is already a massive game. I mean, you have the MSQ, you got raids, trials, crafting, gathering, housing, glamours, mounts, minions, free company events, and there's just so much more. But now you can experience all of that on a handheld gaming device. Think about that for a second. You'd be sitting at home, playing on your television, and then you just pick up your Nintendo Switch 2 and continue playing without having to completely change the way you experience the game. Maybe you only have 30 minutes. Maybe you just want to run a roulette, or I don't know, gather some materials for a crafting class that you're working on. You can do it. And that's what makes this version so appealing to me. But I don't think Switch 2 version is only something like existing Nintendo players should be interested in. I actually do think that people playing Final Fantasy XIV on other platforms should consider giving it a try too. If you're playing on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox and you love Final Fantasy XIV, having another way to play the game can be a huge advantage. You don't necessarily have to think of it as replacing your current platform. Think of it as adding another way to experience Eorzea. Because let's be honest, sometimes you don't want to sit in front of your computer, or you don't want to be sitting in front of a TV screen all day. Sometimes you just want to be lazy and be in bed and get comfortable and play. And that's where I think the Final Fantasy XIV on Nintendo Switch 2 really shines. If you're wondering about the graphics for Final Fantasy XIV on the Nintendo Switch 2, let me just say this. The game looks really good. Now, obviously, if you're comparing it directly to a high-end gaming PC, you're going to see a difference. A powerful PC can push for higher resolutions, higher frame rates, and more advanced graphical settings. But when you compare the Switch 2 version to other consoles, that's where things get really interesting. Final Fantasy XIV still has that beautiful Final Fantasy look, the environments, character models, lighting, spell effects, cities, and the overall world design. They all look impressive on the Switch 2. And the biggest thing is that you're getting the visual quality in a portable system when you're playing handheld. The smaller screen actually helps the game look incredibly sharp. And then you can dock the Switch 2 and experience it on a larger screen. So no, I wouldn't say the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to completely outperform high-end PC or necessarily beat other consoles in raw graphical power. But that's really not the point. So if you're already playing Final Fantasy XIV on another platform, I wouldn't tell you to abandon it. But I would absolutely recommend giving the Nintendo Switch 2 version a chance. And if you're a Nintendo player who's never experienced Final Fantasy XIV before, this might be the perfect time to jump in and explore Eorzea. Because once you start playing, you might realize this isn't just an MMO you play on your console. It's a world you can take with you. And honestly, that's what makes Final Fantasy XIV on the Nintendo Switch 2 so exciting. So whether you're a longtime warrior of light, or someone who's never created a character before, give it a shot. You might just find yourself asking the same question I did. Why didn't we get this sooner?